"Do you have an expired cake for my daughter?" The millionaire heard everything. The fluorescent lights of Save Mart buzzed overhead as Elena Morales stood frozen in the bakery section, her worn sneakers squeaking against the linoleum floor. Her 7-year-old daughter, Sophia, pressed against her side, small fingers clutching the fabric of her mother's faded jacket. Tomorrow was Sophia's 8th birthday, and Elena had exactly $12.37 in her pocket, the last of her paycheck after rent, utilities, and the bare minimum of groceries. She stared at the gleaming birthday cakes behind the glass display, each one a small fortress of frosting and dreams, each one impossibly out of reach. "Mama," Sophia whispered, her dark eyes reflecting the colorful decorations she'd been admiring for the past 10 minutes. "It's okay. I don't need a cake, really." Those words hit Elena harder than any blow she'd ever received. What kind of world was this, where a child had learned to expect so little? Where an 8-year-old's birthday wish was so humble it barely qualified as a wish at all? Elena's throat tightened as she watched her daughter force a brave smile. The same smile Sophia wore when they had oatmeal for dinner 3 nights in a row. The same smile she'd worn when Elena explained they couldn't afford new shoes, even though Sophia's toes were cramping in her current pair. Elena took a deep breath and approached the bakery counter, her heart hammering against her ribs. A young woman with tired eyes and a name tag, reading Jennifer, looked up from where she was arranging cookies. "Excuse me," Eleanor said, her voice barely above a whisper, shame coloring her cheeks. "I was wondering, do you have any expired cakes? Or maybe ones that are damaged? It's for my daughter's birthday tomorrow, and I—" Her voice cracked. She couldn't finish the sentence. Jennifer's expression softened immediately. "Oh, honey, let me check in the back. We sometimes have products we're supposed to mark down. Give me just a minute." What Elena didn't notice was the man standing 3 feet away, partially hidden by a display of artisan bread. Marcus Wellington had been reaching for a baguette when he heard the question that would change everything. At 62, Marcus had built an empire in commercial real estate, accumulating more wealth than he could spend in 3 lifetimes. He wore a simple navy jacket and jeans today, his day off. A rare moment when he tried to remember what normal felt like, what life was like before the mansions and the boardrooms and the endless parade of people who wanted something from him. He'd been divorced for 5 years, his children grown and living abroad, and lately the emptiness of his penthouse had started to feel less like luxury and more like a mausoleum. He'd come to this ordinary grocery store in this working class neighborhood specifically because no one here knew who he was. No one wanted anything from him. He could just be another person buying bread on a Saturday afternoon. But now, frozen in place, he listened as the mother's quiet desperation hung in the air like a prayer. Jennifer returned, shaking her head apologetically. "I'm so sorry. We don't have anything marked down right now. The small cakes start at $28. But if you can wait until tomorrow evening, sometimes we—" "Tomorrow's her birthday," Elena interrupted gently. "Thank you anyway. You've been very kind." She turned to Sophia, kneeling down to her daughter's level. "Baby, how about I make you a special pancake cake in the morning? I'll use the chocolate chips we've been saving, and I'll make it in the shape of a heart. Would you like that?" Sophia's eyes filled with tears she was trying desperately to hold back. At 7 years old, she was already an expert at pretending everything was fine. "That sounds perfect, Mama. Even better than a store cake." The lie was so transparent, so brave, that it shattered something inside Marcus Wellington's chest. He watched as Elena stood, taking her daughter's hand, preparing to walk away. From the bakery section, with her head held high despite the defeat written in every line of her body, he saw the way Sophia glanced back one last time at the princess castle cake she'd been admiring, then quickly looked away, as if even looking might hurt too much. Marcus moved without thinking. "Excuse me," he called out, his voice rougher than he intended. Elena turned, surprised. Marcus approached, his mind racing. He'd built a fortune by making quick decisions, by reading people, by knowing the exact right thing to say in any business situation. But this wasn't business. This was something he'd forgotten how to do, something real. "I couldn't help but overhear," he said carefully, watching Elena's shoulders tense with embarrassment. "And I have a problem I was hoping you could help me with." Elena's eyes narrowed slightly, protective instinct flaring. "I don't think I can help you with anything." "Please hear me out," Marcus said, glancing at Jennifer behind the counter, then back to Eleanor. "It's my granddaughter's birthday next week." The lie came easily, smoothly. "I wanted to preview what the cakes looked like, see the quality before I place a big order. But the thing is, I'm terrible at this sort of thing. I have no idea what an 8-year-old girl would like." He looked down at Sophia. "You look like you might be about 8. Am I right?" Sophia nodded slowly, confused but curious. "Would you do me a favor?" Marcus continued. "Would you help me pick out what cake an 8-year-old would love? And then, since I need to make sure it tastes good too, would you and your mom be willing to take it home and taste test it for me? I'd really appreciate the feedback before I place the bigger order." The silence that followed was thick with understanding. Elena wasn't a fool. She knew exactly what this stranger was doing, and her pride warred violently with her love for her daughter. She opened her mouth to refuse, to maintain her dignity, to explain that they didn't need charity. But then Sophia gasped. "Really? You want me to help?" Marcus knelt down, his expensive jeans touching the grocery store floor without hesitation. "I really do. I trust you have excellent taste in cakes. Which one catches your eye?" Sophia looked up at her mother, hope and uncertainty dancing across her face. Elena felt the walls she'd built around her pride beginning to crack. She looked at this stranger, really, looked at him and saw something genuine in his eyes. Not pity, not condescension, something that looked almost like need. "The Princess Castle," Sophia whispered, pointing to the most elaborate, most expensive cake in the display. "But that one's probably too much for a taste test. The yellow one with the roses would be—" "The Princess Castle it is," Marcus said firmly. He stood and addressed Jennifer. "We'll take the castle cake. And actually, while we're at it, throw in that unicorn cake too, and the chocolate one with the sprinkles. I might as well test a few options." "Sir, that's over $200 worth of—" Jennifer started. "Perfect," Marcus interrupted, pulling out his wallet. "And add some candles. The good ones. The kind that relight themselves." Elena felt dizzy. "Wait, please. This is too much. I can't." Marcus turned to her, and when he spoke, his voice was quieter, meant only for her. "Ma'am, I heard what you asked for. Expired cake for your daughter's birthday. And I want you to know something. I have 3 homes, more money than I'll ever spend, and I can't remember the last time I did something that mattered. Please, let me do this. Not for you, for me." The honesty in his voice broke through her final defenses. Tears spilled down Eleanor's cheeks as she nodded, unable to speak. But Marcus wasn't finished. As Jennifer rang up the cakes, he asked Elena casually, "What do you do for work?" "I'm a housekeeper at the Riverside Hotel," Elena said, wiping her eyes. "And I do some alterations on the side. I'm actually pretty good with a sewing machine." Marcus's mind was already working. He owned the building that housed a textile company currently, looking for skilled workers. "You know, I have a friend in the garment industry. They're always looking for people with sewing skills. The pay is significantly better than hotel housekeeping, and there are benefits. Would you be open to me making an introduction?" Elena stared at him, unable to process how her entire life was shifting in the space of a grocery store. "Bakery section." Yes, of course. But why are you doing this?" Marcus was quiet for a moment, watching as Jennifer carefully boxed up the 3 elaborate cakes. "My wife passed away 10 years ago," he finally said. "Before she died, she made me promise that I'd remember what mattered. But I got lost for a while in work, in building things, in staying busy so I didn't have to feel anything. I forgot how to see people, really see them. But today, when I heard you ask for expired cake for your daughter's birthday—" He paused, his own eyes glistening. You reminded me what love looks like, what sacrifice looks like. And your daughter reminded me what grace looks like when she pretended. A pancake cake was better than what she really wanted." Sophia, who had been listening silently, suddenly stepped forward and hugged Marcus's waist. The spontaneous gesture surprised him so much that he froze for a moment, before awkwardly patting her head, then wrapping his arms around her small shoulders. "Thank you for making my mama smile," Sophia whispered against his jacket. In that moment, Marcus Wellington, who had negotiated billion-dollar deals without flinching, who had fired executives without losing sleep, who had built walls around his heart so high he thought nothing could scale them, completely broke down. Tears streamed down his face as he held this child he'd never met before, this beautiful soul who thanked him not for the cakes, but for bringing joy to her mother. Jennifer had stopped pretending to work and was crying openly behind the counter. 2 other shoppers had paused, witnessing this moment of raw humanity in aisle 7. When they finally separated, Marcus pulled out his business card and a pen. He wrote his personal cell phone number on the back. "Call me Monday morning," he told Elena. "I'll set up the interview, and I'm going to check on you two, if that's okay. I'd like to know how the birthday party goes." "I don't know what to say," Elena managed through her tears. "How do I thank you for this?" "You don't," Marcus said simply. "You just keep being the incredible mother you are. Keep teaching your daughter that kindness matters, that dignity matters, that love matters. You're doing everything right, even when it's impossibly hard. Anyone can see that." As they walked out of the store together, Elena and Sophia, carefully carrying boxes that contained not just cakes but restored hope, and Marcus carrying the baguette. He'd originally come for something. Fundamental had shifted in all of them. Sophia's birthday party the next day was small, just Elena, Sophia, and Eleanor's sister, who came over with homemade decorations. But the Princess Castle cake was magnificent, and when Sophia blew out the candles, she made a wish that Marcus Wellington would find as much happiness as he'd given them. 6 months later, Eleanor was working as a lead seamstress at Textile Innovations, making 3 times her previous salary with full health benefits. She'd been able to move to a better apartment, buy Sophia new shoes and clothes and books, and everything else she'd been denying her, and start saving for her daughter's future. But more than that, Marcus had become a fixture in their lives, a grandfather figure Sophia had never had, a friend Elena had desperately needed. He attended Sophia's school play, came over for Sunday dinners, and slowly, gradually, allowed himself to be part of a family again. On the anniversary of that day in Save Mart, Marcus took them both out to dinner, as they sat in a modest restaurant. His choice. Not the expensive places he used to frequent. Sophia presented him with a drawing she'd made. It showed 3 stick figures in a grocery store, with a princess castle cake floating between them like a bridge. "That's the day everything changed," Sophia explained seriously. "That's the day we met you." Marcus framed that drawing and hung it in his office, where it hung beside all his business awards and achievements. When people asked about it, he told them the truth. It was the most important moment of his life. The day he remembered what he'd forgotten, that wealth meant nothing if it wasn't shared. That kindness was the only currency that truly mattered, and that sometimes God speaks to us through the quiet desperation of a mother asking for expired cake for her daughter's birthday. In the end, Marcus Wellington learned what Elena Morales had always known, that love measures itself not in what we have, but in what we're willing to give. And sometimes the greatest gift we can receive is the opportunity to make someone else's burden a little lighter, to transform someone's tears into joy, and to remember that we're all connected, all worthy of dignity, all deserving of cake on our birthdays, all in need of the kindness of strangers who might become family. The Princess Castle cake was long gone, but its sweetness lingered in 3 transformed lives. A reminder that miracles still happen in grocery store aisles, and that expired dreams can become the freshest kind of hope.